What is up, Bills Mafia? We have 325 days to go, 272 days. We have 263 days. We have 240 days to go. We have 198. We have 154 days. We have 97 days to go. We have 86 days to go. We have 55 days to go until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57.
And now it is time for the only channel dedicated to counting down the days until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57.
I just don't know if they're going to make it.
What is up, Bills Mafia? We have 32 days to go until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57. And this channel is going to document every single day leading up to that amazing moment with a video or going live. I'm jumping on earlier tonight because I don't want to be up till 10, 11 o'clock. Not only that, but I really want to get to the big news of the day, talking about what's going on heading into the Dolphins game. We all know the latest, but I want to talk about it because it's pretty big all the way around. Real quick, hello, Mr. F. Nice to see you, man. Where have you been? And Wows is back in the house. Probably better for me to be on a little bit earlier for you, Mr. Wowza, right? Because you got school in the morning. Can't be up until 10, 11 o'clock at night watching this guy blabbering on his live stream. Lighting okay? I guess so, yeah. All right. So, we're 3 days away, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3.5 days away until we kick off against the Miami Dolphins. And we're all, I mean, if you're like me, you are feeling just fine about this game. It's not one in which there's going to be a whole lot of... The only stress leading into it is really worrying that somehow, some way they're going to blow it against a team they should absolutely manhandle. All right, Mr. F, you're 13 also. All right, so you both probably haven't been on the streams as much as you could be because I'm jumping on usually at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. But like I said, I want to get this one over with early. I apologize to all those who might want to catch me at 9 o'clock tonight, and I won't be there because I'm on now, and you'll just have to catch the replay of it. All right, little housekeeping there. Another bit of housekeeping too. If you guys want to get in on the 50-50, total right now is $25. The winner last time, Mr. Bob Marsh, he was kind enough to say, just keep all the cash, Steve, which was great because I bought some stuff for my bar redo today. I can't wait. We're gonna start knocking that out on Saturday. I'm gonna live stream the work. That's gonna be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I don't know if you like carpentry or, remodeling or anything like that. If you do, you're going to like this probably. But then anyway, got that money and, I put a little bit in my pocket and also decided I should probably take at least a little bit of it and put it towards the raffle. So if you want to get in the raffle, it's $5 for tickets. It's just mostly for fun. But you get a raffle ticket for every $5. And I have a little spinning wheel, and we're going to do it after the game. So that'll be a lot of fun. Anyhow, big news. Big news today. Let's start with there's two bits of big news. One is bigger than the other. Let's start with the moderately big news, and that is something that we all kind of expected to hear, and that is Tua Tagovailoa is out. Oh my gosh, that's probably the first time I ever said his last name right. Tua Tagovailoa is out. He is not playing, and instead they're going to have a third-string backup coming into town to take on the Bills. I mean, I wasn't worried about the game against the Dolphins if Tua Tagovailoa had played. But I knew that they were going to have a better chance with Tua than who they're going to play, and that is Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson is not going to be able to come into Buffalo and pull out a win. I would say it's probably, someone said it's like a 10% chance that they could come in and win. I think it's more like a 3% chance, which I guess is a little outrageous. That would mean that if they played 100 times, the Bills would win 97 times. Maybe that's a little too much. But, I mean, if they played 100 times, I think the Bills would win 90 times, which I guess that would be 10%. 10% chance for Dolphins. Anyway, you know where I'm getting at. All of us Buffalo Bills fans expect this to be a warm-up for the next playoff game, which is likely going to be against the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the Bengals should be able to take care of business against the Baltimore Ravens. They already did last week, and the Baltimore Ravens are kind of in the same situation that the Dolphins are in. They have like their third-string quarterback playing. Now, there is hope. I mean, if we are desperately wanting to avoid playing the Bengals, which I wouldn't mind if we didn't have to play them. But if that's your thing, man, if you're like, I don't want to play the Bengals, I think there's some hope that the Ravens can win that game. I'll kind of give you my take on that coming up here in just a little bit. But back to Tua Tagovailoa and the Bills' chances against the Bengals, or I should say the Bengals' chances against the Bills. The Bengals are going to have to come in here, and they're just going to have – it's just going to have to be a parade of errors by the Bills, fumbles, interceptions. The defense for the Dolphins, special teams for the Dolphins are going to probably have to get a couple touchdowns themselves, and it's still – going to likely, even if a lot of that happened, the Bills should still be able to take this game. And of course, there's always, knock on wood, cross fingers, say a little prayer. There's always a chance that a top player for the Bills, Josh Allen, could get injured early in the game, and then even then, with our backup quarterback situation being still way better than the Dolphins, we still pull out a win. But anyway, Buffalo, Miami, Sunday at 1:00. I'll be live streaming that one. I don't see the Dolphins, getting out of Buffalo with a win. So that means Buffalo then goes on to host either the Bengals here at home, or if somehow, some way the Ravens pull out the game in Cincinnati, then the Bills would host either the either the Jaguars or the Chargers, and the Ravens would go on to play the Chiefs. That's the medium-sized big news. The big news, the one I want to talk about the most, is one that I did not expect at all. In fact, last night on the live stream, I wanted to talk about the chances of Micah Hyde coming back for the playoffs. And my take was going to be based on an article that I read that somebody put together that was really interesting. It was really in depth. And it was about Micah Hyde and his injury and the history of those injuries and the recovery time for professional athletes. And how it was highly unlikely, almost impossible based on this article, that Micah Hyde would even have a chance of playing in the playoffs. It went through, I think, 206 professional athletes who have had the same type of injury, the same type of surgery as Micah Hyde. And the quickest, according to this article, and maybe the article just didn't know what it was talking about, I don't know, but the quickest turnaround for a player that had the same type of injury and surgery that Micah Hyde was 4 months. 4 months was the quickest turnaround. I don't even know what sport it was. Probably not football. And so after I read that, I'm like, this isn't encouraging at all. And so I was going to share that last night, and I didn't. I decided not to, and I'm so glad I didn't, because apparently Micah Hyde is going to be coming back for the playoffs. Now, I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, he hasn't been cleared yet by the doctors, and I understand that is what has to happen before he can come back. But my my thinking is, why would his doctors even allow him to come out and speak to the media and get on the practice field and participate with the team if they weren't going to sign off on his being able to play? Now, he could go into practice, come out of practice over the next couple days, next week or something, and say, hey, yo, doc, I do feel a little, crick in my neck, or my muscle hurts back here, or I'm seeing double, or whatever. And then at that time, his doctors say, yeah, that means that your injury isn't completely healed. You can't play. Very possible. But unless Micah Hyde tells his doctors, yo, I'm not feeling right, it looks like they're going to eventually let him play. And I think would probably be in time for the Bengals game. When would you need Micah Hyde more than against the Bengals with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd? And we have said all along, I mean, as soon as Micah Hyde went out in late September after the Titans game, we were bemoaning the fact that it was very apparent that the one reason why the Bills defense has been as good as it's been has been because of the safety play by Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Those two guys, the tandem, has just been really the anchor of this team. We still were missing a pass rush, and that's why we went out and got Von Miller. Unfortunately, he's not here. So having Micah Hyde back, now him coming back does not mean he's going to be back to form, and doesn't necessarily mean that he'll be better than what we have at safety now. There's a lot of question marks about whether or not Micah Hyde, number one, will come back, and number two, whether he'll be effective when he comes back. But with that said, if Micah Hyde comes back, and if he can elevate his play to, let's say, 80% of what he usually is, that is gigantic. It is so big. That is so big in these playoffs. Against Cincinnati, against Kansas City. I mean, this is huge. This is huge news. This is so big. I know we probably all know how big it is, but let me make sure you know how big it is. This is huge. This is gigantic. Micah Hyde back in the lineup could be the missing piece to a Super Bowl puzzle. I mean, I said all along that Von Miller was probably the missing piece. And I think we all could easily argue that point. But having Micah Hyde, if he returns, is going to be gigantic. Now, along with that, I guess Jamison Crowder is back at practice from, after recovering, or in the process of recovering from his ankle injury suffered against the Ravens back in week, I think it was 3, 4. So Jamison Crowder is, if you're like me, it's kind of like a non-starter. It's like he wasn't really making that big of a difference in the lineup on the offensive side of the ball. When he was here, I know he needed some time to get into the offense and get on the same page with Mr. Josh Allen, and he never had time to do that. And so I'm not sure how much it's going to help having Jamison Crowder back if he comes back for the offense, but I would rather have Jamison Crowder there than not, especially if we lose someone here in the next couple games, assuming that the Bills beat the Dolphins. Let's just say Khalil Shakir goes out with an injury, or Gabe Davis, or, God forbid, Stephon Diggs. Then having Jamison Crowder might be a bigger deal than we think. So those are the two big bits of news: is the return of Micah Hyde and Jamison Crowder to the practice. I mean, it's just so big. I cannot believe it. And then, of course, Tua Tagovailoa out for Sunday. Skylar Thompson starting. And, I mean, the Dolphins had a ghost of a chance before it was confirmed that Tua was not going to play. Now it's just like, forget about it. Forget about it. Wowza, you saying date. I am not exactly sure what you're talking about. Sorry, man. January 15th. I guess that's the answer to your question. Glad somebody took care of you in the chat there. What's up, Knuckle? I worry more about the Bengals than KC. KC not looking this solid this year. Yep. I concur. Like, I think all of us are saying that the Bengals game is the game we need to get by. Not that we need to overlook Kansas City. Thankfully, we're not going into Kansas City to play Kansas City. But, yeah, I mean, the Bengals game is the game. Is the game if we face the Bengals. And now I'm going to get to that take that I want to give you about the Bengals and the Ravens game. And that is this. So I watched, some highlights of Bengals, Ravens games this year. The one earlier this year when Lamar Jackson was in and the one just last week. The one thing that gives me hope that the Ravens could pull off the upset against Cincinnati is, first of all, their division rivals. They've played each other twice already, so the Ravens kind of have an idea of what to expect and what to game plan for. Not that they're going to be able to stop it, but the Ravens have a solid defense with Calais Campbell and Roquan Smith, and I got to watch some of the highlights, and the Bengals were moving the ball. Don't get me wrong, but the Ravens were also making plays. And this past game, a couple things happened that kind of made the score, the final score of that game, look a little more lopsided than it probably was, including a fumble in the end zone recovered by the Bengals for a touchdown. The Ravens made some mistakes. They've got a quarterback in there that is inexperienced, and, all of that just leads me to believe that the Bengals are going to take this one. But if the Ravens can make some plays on defense, and they just paid a ton of money to Roquan Smith, and Roquan Smith is going to want to show everybody they made a right choice about paying him all that cash. If the Ravens can get some plays on defense, they can make that game really interesting. There's a better chance that the Ravens can upset the Bengals in Cincinnati, a lot better chance than the Dolphins upsetting the Bills here in Orchard Park. Huge. Jizzy, I think you might be talking about the local Buffalo commercial here. Huge. Yes. So, if the Ravens can pull it out, obviously Buffalo will be a big favorite against the Ravens here in Buffalo. They're already going to likely be a favorite against the Bengals if and when the Bengals eventually come into town. I'm picturing what? Like 3.5-point favorites against the Bengals. I mean, they were 1-point favorite on the road in Cincinnati, so maybe add 2-3 points to that spread. Buffalo at home against Cincinnati, depending on, of course, other factors. 3.5-point favorites, that is close. That is close. Yeah, Fresh, you're referring to that commercial. Huge. I haven't seen that commercial lately. Whereas if they play the Ravens here, I'm sorry. I keep saying they're going to play the Ravens here. They're not going to play the Ravens here. The Ravens will go to Kansas City. I don't know why I keep thinking that in my head. Buffalo then would play either the Chargers or the Jaguars. And actually, I think that the Chargers specifically can give Buffalo a run for their money more than the Jaguars. Anyway, the point is, if we can, do a little detour around the Bengals, I'm happy with that. I'm totally happy with that. If Micah Hyde's back, though, I'm not going to be, banking on a ton of great plays from Micah Hyde like he had in that Patriots playoff game. But the communication between him and Jordan Poyer, I mean, that's huge. It's huge. It's a really big deal when Jordan Poyer gets his partner in crime back on the field, the communication between those two guys, the communication that they have with the rest of the defense, being able to see things before they happen with the experience they have over and above who we've had back there, whether it's Dean Marlowe or DeMar Hamlin, or I think Cam Phillips play some safety. I'm not sure. The Jaquan Johnson, I think, is the kid's name. He was back there. Just, they really struggled. And having Hyde back would just give this team such a shot in the arm. It would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. And just circling back to Hyde and that whole situation, the one last time and the one last thought is, like I had said, he wants to play and have a shot at winning a championship. And he said that in the press conference today. Like, this could be it. This could be it for me. This could be my one and only opportunity to win a Super Bowl title. And he just said how much he loves the guys, how he loves this team, he loves this roster. So, I had said a few days ago, I thought it was about a 30% chance that Micah Hyde would be back for the playoffs. Then I said, like I said last night, it went down to like near zero after reading an article about his injury, the recovery time, and the case histories, case studies, I guess you could call it, on the whole situation. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Now, I would have to say it's like an 85% proposition that he's going to play in the playoffs. Just like Jizzy says right here, he gonna play. Micah Hyde coming back, baby. Unstinking real, man. I mean, this whole situation with Hyde and the situation we had with Hamlin and everything, it's just like everything seems to be coming together. The planets seem to be lining up. If Von Miller somehow, some way, has Mr. Miyagi do a little thing like this on his knee, and Mr. Miyagi comes in, and we hear he's back, which of course isn't going to happen. But I, with everything that's happened, I wouldn't rule it out. I could see that happening. Great news today. Unfortunate for Tua Tagovailoa. I hate to hear that. That's not great news in terms of what he's going through, but in terms of football, it's, it definitely makes it that much more likely that Buffalo's going to be playing in the divisional round. And like I said, probably against the Cincinnati Bengals. And they look good, man. The Bengals look good. We're going to get to know so much more coming up in the next 4 days. What's up, Bob? I was just about to jump off, but I am on early today. I'm like staying up till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I get to bed early, and I'm probably going to try to go on a little bit earlier for the rest of the season. And Mr. Bob Marsh, be in large part because of you. I got to get some supplies for the bar that I'm redoing downstairs. And Saturday, I'm going live pretty much like the whole time. Me and my buddy Bob, also named Bob, is going to be working on it. So I think you might get a kick out of that. All right. Great news, Bills Mafia. Things are coming together. I've got the confidence that we're going to take this thing all the way. Super Bowl 57. It's right there. It's right there. Just a few more weeks. Isn't that right, Advanced Hood? Thank you. I wish my enthusiasm could be packaged and sold, because I would make millions. Buffalo, Super Bowl champs, coming real soon to a living room near you. See you tomorrow.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. right now, baby.
Say you will.
Come on, come on.
Say you will.
Come on and shout.
Say you will.
Yeah.
Shout.
Buffalo's happening now.
Shout.
We're on the move now.
Shout.
The Bills are happening now.
Shout.
They're making it happen now.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
A lot of spirit, yeah.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go, Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna.